1, go live for this week's Come Follow Me lesson, Study with the Convert. I'm Dennis Schleicher, and I am humbly honored you are joining me today. I'm in the Relief Society room because I got stuck a little late at church, and I'm hopping on. I've learned one thing, though. If you're a little late, the missionaries taught me there's always a reason. So it's okay. This is going to be a fun Come Follow Me lesson as we study Doctrine and Covenants. I can't believe it's getting towards the end. Have you ever watched someone you love be misunderstood, rejected, or even attacked simply for standing for the truth? Because if you've ever felt that, you're going to understand today's Come Follow Me lesson in a whole new way. What happened in Doctrine and Covenants, section 135 and 136, is not just history, it's a pattern of how God has used for thousands of years all of us. And today, I want to show you the Bible connections that most people have never seen in conjunction with Doctrine and Covenants scripture. So stay with me because this lesson is going to deepen your testimony of Joseph Smith, strengthen your faith in the restoration, and remind you that God never abandons his people, especially when the world thinks they've won. Let's dive in. All right. This week, we're studying one of the most emotional and powerful moments in church history. Doctrine and Covenants 135 is John Taylor's witness account of the martyrdom of Joseph Smith and Hyrum Smith. And Doctrine and Covenants 136 is the Lord's revelation to Brigham Young as the Spirit, as the saints prepare to leave Nauvoo and journey westward. Most people read these chapters like they're reading a museum plaque. But once you understand the deeper layers, the hidden biblical patterns, the symbolism, and what God was doing behind the scenes, these chapters become some of the most faith building in the entire Doctrine and Covenants. And trust me, by the end of this live, you will see why the restoration didn't end with Joseph Smith's death or persecution. It exploded internationally. Here's something most people don't realize. John Taylor wrote Doctrine and Covenants, section 135, while still bleeding from a gunshot wound. One bullet shattered his pocket watch that he used to wear. And I saw this. Well, before I get into that, let me talk about this. One bullet shattered his pocket watch at 5:17 p.m. You can still see the dent today in the Church History Museum in Salt Lake City. And I saw this when myself and a fellow convert were touring the Salt Lake City Museum last May. And I got to tell you, it was powerful. We actually went live, I think. And okay, those minutes mattered. 5:17. Taylor thought he was dying. He believed Joseph and Hyrum were already gone. And in that moment, he chose to testify of Joseph's mission with a power you can't fake. Not at all. When someone believes you're writing their final words, they don't waste ink. Not at all. Especially back then, ink was valuable. That alone should tell you or tell us about who Joseph Smith really was. Let me ask you this. Have you ever felt misjudged, misunderstood? maybe even attacked simply for what you believe. That's what Joseph and Hyrum faced, not because they were criminals, not because they were dangerous, not because light attracts opposition, because truth has always threatened power. Think about that. Truth always threatens power. Hi, Craig in New Zealand. Good morning. And hello, Sandy from Salt Lake and Jenny from Missouri. I am grateful you're on today. And if you've ever felt opposition because of your faith, you're in good company. God has been with his prophets in prison cells, iron lion dens, fiery situations, and yes, in Carthage Jail. And he will be with you. Here's where it gets powerful. Joseph Smith's final days follow the exact same pattern as Jeremiah's in the Old Testament. Jeremiah, chapter 26, says the people accused Jeremiah of treason, things they didn't like. Joseph was arrested for the same reason, treason. Jeremiah was placed in a dungeon. Joseph was placed in a jail. Jeremiah's life was threatened by mobs. Joseph was murdered by one. Yeah, that's powerful. The Lord told Jeremiah, quote, "They have not rejected thee, but me." And the same could be said of Joseph Smith. This These aren't coincidence. God has used his pattern for centuries. When a prophet is rejected, it doesn't stop God's work, it accelerates it. How? Now, here's something most saints never think about. Joseph and Hyrum died together, testified together, led together. In Judaism, that is the higher form of divine witness. Revelation 11 speaks of two witnesses standing together. And I'm not saying Joseph and Hyrum are the literal fulfillment of this prophecy, but the pattern is unmistakable. They stood as united witnesses of the restoration, and they sealed that witness with their blood. In ancient scripture, that is the ultimate sign of a divine message. Moments before, let me pause for a second. I see Karen on. Hello. I want to see if I can make you a moderator before I go, just in case we get some of those anti comments. You are going to be here you go, moderator. Let me know if you are and that you're still able to comment, because the last time I tried to do that to her, I blocked her. Um, I'll never, oh my gosh. Moments before, I'm going to go back to this lesson. Moments before he fell from the window, Joseph shouted, "O Lord, my God." Think about that. And Karen says, visiting Joseph Carthage Jail left a lasting impact. The spirit there spoke the truth. I haven't been there yet, Karen, but I will. And um, it says, Karen says, where do I check that? I don't know, but right now it shows up that you have a little wrench next to you, so you are a moderator. I can tell you that. And Sandy's a moderator too, but I don't know where you find that information. Okay, now, moments before he fell. Now, those are also the opening words in Psalms chapter 7 and Psalms 31. O Lord, my God, in thee do I put my trust. Think about that for a moment. Think about that. In his final breath, Joseph wasn't calling for revenge. He wasn't calling for rescue. He was calling on God, just like every prophet who ever gave his life for truth. Now, let's shift to the saints preparing to leave Nauvoo. Most people the think the Exodus theme is symbolic. It's not. The organization in Doctrine and Covenants, section 136, is almost a mirror of Exodus 18, chapter 18, verse 20. Moses divided Israel into groups of tens, fifties, and hundreds. Brigham Young did the same. Israel was commanded to go into the wilderness. The saints were commanded to go west. Israel sought the promised land. The saints sought the Rocky Mountains. The literal fulfillment of Isaiah chapter 2, verse 2. The mountain of the Lord's house shall be established in the top of the mountains. The Exodus didn't just happen once, happened again and again. God doesn't recycle stories, He repeats patterns so we can recognize His hand in all things. Here's why this matters to us today. As we ponder this, think about that. You and I go through, or you and I go through our own Carthage Jail moments when people talk, assumptions spread, and you feel like you're standing alone. But Carthage was not the end of the restoration, it was the beginning of an explosion. After Joseph's death, missionary work expanded exponentially and exploded worldwide. Whole nations joined the church. The saints built a city in the mountains. Temples were established. The gospel went global. The adversary struck the prophet, but God opened the floodgates. If you've ever felt like someone in your life died, a dream, a friendship, a brief, a belief, plan, remember this: God specializes in rescuing and reassuring and reestablishing. Let me ask you one last question. Where is God trying to lead you right now? Just like the saints, sometimes He asks us, just like Joseph Smith was martyred, was killed with Hyrum. He asked us as saints to leave comfort and walk in unity and to walk sometimes the unknown. Sometimes He asks us to trust Him when we don't see the map. Sometimes He lets things fall apart so something better can fall into place. In Doctrine and Covenants, section 136, verse 31 says, May people, my people must be tired in all things, or tried in all things, excuse me. So, quote, my people must be tried in all things. It's interesting because today in Elders Quorum, we were talking about, is the gospel easy? And one person said, yes, it's love thy neighbor, follow the commandments. Another person said, no, it's not easy. So when it says in Doctrine and Covenants, section 136, verse 31, my people must be tried in all things, not punished, not abandoned, prepared. God wasn't punishing the saints, He was preparing them for Zion. And He is preparing you today. I want to testify boldly that Joseph Smith truly was a prophet of God. He received revelation to write what's in these verses. Not because someone told me, not because of history books, but because of the Spirit has told my heart over and over again. I know this restoration is real. I know the saints' journey west was guided by God, and I know that Jesus Christ stands with his people in every Carthage moment, including yours. I just got this overwhelming sense of peace and gratitude and love in my heart, knowing that I now have, I think it's 5 moderators. I have Sandy, Spirit, and Spirit's not even of our faith, but she's really good at getting the negative comments off here quick that come flying by. So there's Spirit, Sandy, Craig, and and Karen. So there's 4. So I can guarantee you that I just had this sense of warmth and comfort knowing that when I'm live, there's people on here that can delete the negative comments and put people in timeout. And that means a lot to me. It really does. I'm grateful for all of you. And I see Sandy just deleted a message. Um, yeah, thank you for deleting that because I just clicked on it to see what it said, and it's not appropriate. So I want to close. If this message helped you today, hit the like button and share it with someone who needs strength. If you're on this live stream, start it from the beginning. If you missed out on the beginning, because I think this was one of the most powerful lessons I've done in a long time. They seem to get more powerful, but then again, there's some where I feel a little off, which I get it. And if you want deeper, come follow me lessons every week with history, Bible connections, and real stories, subscribe and turn on your notifications. Thank you for being here. I love you. And remember, if God guided the saints across a wilderness, he can guide you through anything you're facing today. I want to see if there's any other live comments that I missed. I think it's a lot of people, just a lot of you guys talking back and forth because all of you know each other more or less. And I kept hearing this strange clicking, and I realized That's because there's a clock above me in the Relief Society room. So next time I'll have to find a spot without a clock. I don't know if you were able to hear the clicking of the clock. Have a great Sabbath and enjoy it. Until next time.